Right now, above your head, the biggest explosion you will ever witness is happening. A star is dying. Somewhere, a black hole is tearing a sun apart, and you will never hear any of it. Not because your ears are too weak, because there is nothing to hear. That should terrify you a little. It should also make you feel something closer to peace than you'd expect. Hold both feelings at once. You'll need them. For most of human history, people assumed the heavens were loud. Ancient cultures imagined the spheres of the sky ringing like bells, a music too perfect for mortal ears. The Greeks called it the harmony of the spheres. It was a beautiful idea. It was also completely wrong. Sound is not a thing that travels through nothing. Sound is a wave, and a wave needs something to push against. Air molecules bump into each other, one after another, carrying the vibration to your eardrum. Take away the air, and there is nothing left to bump. No medium, no message. Space is almost a perfect vacuum, so a star could go supernova 10 feet from your head, and in the vacuum of space, you would see the flash before you felt a single vibration reach you. You would never hear the sound because there would never be one to hear. Astronauts have talked about this for decades. Outside the International Space Station, in a full pressurized suit, the loudest thing you notice isn't the universe, it's your own breathing. Chris Hadfield, the Canadian astronaut famous for his spacewalks, described the silence out there as total, so total it becomes its own kind of pressure. Not a peaceful hush, a wall pressing in on you from every direction at once. Think about what that actually means. Every explosion, every collision, every cataclysm happening across billions of light years is unfolding in absolute soundlessness. Two galaxies can crash into each other over hundreds of millions of years, flinging stars apart, and the entire event would register to a human observer as nothing more than a slow, silent drift of light. Violence without noise, destruction without a single decibel. So why does NASA release audio clips of Saturn's rings, or the singing of Jupiter, or the eerie moan of the sun itself? Here's the twist. Those aren't sounds. They're translations. In the 1930s, a young radio engineer named Karl Jansky was trying to track down static that was interfering with transatlantic phone calls. What he found instead was something stranger, a steady hiss coming from the center of the Milky Way. Radio waves pouring out of deep space, invisible and silent to a human ear, but very real to an antenna. Jansky had accidentally discovered radio astronomy. He'd found proof that space is not empty of information. It's just empty of sound, as your body understands it. Decades later, scientists on the Voyager missions picked up where Jansky left off. A physicist named Gurnett at the University of Iowa built plasma wave instruments for the Voyager probes, instruments designed to detect electromagnetic vibrations in the charged particles drifting through space. When Voyager 1 crossed into interstellar space in 2012, its instruments picked up oscillations in that thin plasma. Gurnett's team took that data and shifted it into the range of human hearing. What came out sounds like a low, otherworldly moan. People call it the sound of interstellar space. It isn't, not really. It's math wearing a costume. It's real data about real particle vibrations, translated into something your ears can process, because your ears were never built to process the truth directly. Why does that distinction even matter? Because it tells you something uncomfortable. Everything you think you know about the sound of space is a translation for your benefit. The universe was never speaking your language. You built a bridge to it instead, out of curiosity, and maybe a little bit of fear of the silence on the other side. Here's where it gets personal. Your brain hates silence more than it hates almost anything else. There is a room in Minnesota built by an audio company called Orfield Labs that holds the Guinness World Record for quietest place on Earth. Its walls are lined with fiberglass wedges that absorb sound almost completely. The background noise level is measured in negative decibels, quieter than the threshold of human hearing itself. People who go inside are told the record for how long someone has lasted alone in there. In the dark is about 45 minutes. What happens after that? People start hallucinating. They hear their own heartbeat as a drumbeat. They hear their blood moving as a rushing river. Some report ringing, humming, phantom voices, whispering just out of understanding. Not because the room is haunted, because a brain built over millions of years to expect a constant stream of input will manufacture that input itself the moment it disappears. This isn't new information to psychologists. Back in the 1950s, a researcher named John Lilly began experimenting with sensory deprivation tanks, floating people in warm salt water, in total darkness, in total silence. Lilly wanted to know what a mind does when it's cut off from the outside world completely. What he found, again and again, was that the mind doesn't go blank. It goes inward and it starts inventing. So think about that dying star again. Think about the black hole tearing a sun apart in complete silence, light years from anyone who could ever witness it. Now think about your own brain in that quiet room in Minnesota, inventing heartbeats turned drumbeats out of nothing at all. Your ancestors didn't evolve in a vacuum. They evolved in forests, on open savannas, surrounded by wind and rustling grass and the calls of other animals. Every second of that noise was information. A snapped branch meant a predator. A sudden silence meant something worse was coming. Silence, to your ancestors, wasn't peaceful. Silence was often the moment right before danger arrived. That old wiring is still sitting in your skull today. It's why a quiet house at night feels different than a quiet house at noon. It's why some people sleep with a fan running or a podcast playing low just to keep that ancient alarm system fed with something, anything, to chew on. You are not imagining that discomfort. You inherited it, passed down from a version of you that had to listen for its life. There's another wrinkle here, one most people never think about. Even if space did carry sound the way air does, most of what's happening out there would still be silent to you, simply because of distance and time. Light from the sun takes about 8 minutes to reach your eyes. Light from the nearest star beyond our solar system takes over 4 years. Light from some of the galaxies you can see through a telescope left its source before humans had invented writing. So even the silent explosions you're picturing happened long ago. You're not just missing the sound. You're watching the past, dressed up as the present, and calling it the sky. That should reframe how you think about stargazing entirely. Every time you look up, you're not looking at what's there right now. You're looking at old light, carrying old information about events that may have already finished playing out. Some of those stars might not even exist anymore. You'd have no way of knowing. The silence isn't just about sound. It's about a universe that refuses to update you in real time, no matter how badly your brain wants a live feed. Compare that to how your own body operates. Your nervous system evolved to demand immediacy. A sound behind you gets processed and reacted to in a fraction of a second, because a fraction of a second used to be the difference between surviving an ambush and not. You are built for now. The universe, on the other hand, seems almost indifferent to now. It moves on scales of light years and millennia, sending you messages that are already ancient history by the time they arrive. Now zoom back out, all the way out, past the ISS, past Jansky's antenna, past Voyager drifting through interstellar plasma, billions of miles from home. Consider what it means that the universe itself runs on that same principle, just at a staggering scale. Space is not empty because nothing is happening. It's roaring with radiation, gravitational waves, charged particles slamming into each other at unimaginable speeds. It's just that none of it is built for your ears. You are, cosmically speaking, standing in the quietest room ever constructed, one your own biology cannot survive for very long without inventing something to fill it. Maybe that's the real reframe here. You spend your whole life assuming silence means nothing is happening. Out there, in the vacuum, the opposite is true. Total silence and total chaos exist in the exact same place at the exact same time. The two aren't opposites, they're the same fact, seen from two different distances, and maybe that changes how you hear your own quiet moments. The next time a room goes silent, the next time you lie awake at 3 a.m. and the house makes no sound at all, remember that the silence isn't empty. It never was. It's just running on a frequency you were never built to hear directly. Somewhere above you, right now, the biggest explosion you will never hear is still happening, and your ears were never broken for missing it. They just weren't built for the size of the universe you happen to live in.